Good afternoon. My name is Damian Ishmael Fairconato, and this is a lecture in criminal justice about restorative justice. This is the first class of this lecture. The main text that we will use is this one. You can find it on Amazon.com. All right. Now, pay close attention to this lecture because there will be a short lecture quiz after this lecture and after subsequent lectures. A journey is a process. We are required to move to go from one place to another place on the journey. The journey has a goal. If we work, we reach our goals. However, we become tired sometimes. We must rest. Rest restores our spirits, souls, and bodies. Our spirits or our characters. Our characters or our true selves. Our souls consist of our intellects, emotions, and feelings. When we yield to temptations, this proves the other spirits that we receive outside us. Yet our characters remain silent. Our souls translate messages from our spirits to our bodies. Some of us respond to foreign spirits, but others respond to our spirits. We need power to change the world. To illustrate, Fania Davis, 2019 wrote, open quote, calling for a convergence of the two, this little book of race and restorative justice urges racial justice advocates to invite more healing energies into their lives and restorative justice advocates to bring more warrior energies into theirs. Page 2. Life is the power to become. If we breathe air into us, we have the power to become. Yet we need more power to restore ourselves and society. Strongholds are spiritual forces. They desire to hold us in certain conditions. For example, some strongholds desire to keep us sick. Nevertheless, action to a better health delivers us from these strongholds. The future of any society is in the success of its children. To illustrate, Davis 2019 wrote, open quote, the fierce African Maasai warriors whose foremost concern is with the well-being of the children also come to mind. Close quote. Page 2. Adults do not live forever. Therefore, wise parents raise their children to maintain the particular earth where they live. Some other people say, open quote, knowledge is power, close quote. I agree. For instance, surviving descendants need to understand how to work productively in order to pay the household bills and keep their ancestral inheritance. It is not easy to work consistently in a system that is designed to it is not easy to work consistently in a system that is designed to hurt men. Repentance begins with the person. To illustrate, Davis 2019 wrote, open quote, "We who dedicate our lives to social change have a chance to succeed only if we also devote ourselves to individual and collective healing." Close quote. Pages 2 and 3. Repentance is a open quote change for the better as a result of a person's remorse. Close quote. When we understand our offenses, it is expected of us to change. Some people, especially some politicians, support personal responsibility. Everybody is responsible for their salvation. Even children are responsible for their salvation. It is the child's responsibility to, open quote, stay in his or her place, close quote, and submit to lawful authority. Submission to lawful authority produces spiritual freedom. If we fail to understand our ancestors, we fail to understand ourselves. To illustrate, Davis 2019 wrote, open quote, "Indigenous protocol invites us to introduce ourselves through ancestors, lineage, and land." Close quote. Page 3. Members of the African diaspora ancestors are not only of the white race. Some of us deny our black ancestors because we believe the falsehood that they are inferior to other people. We are not inferior to other people. We are equal to other people under God. This is why God commands us to, open quote, love other people as we love ourselves. Close quote. If we appreciate and save our lives, we appreciate and save other people's lives. Some white and black people contributed to the capture and slavery of other black people. To illustrate, Davis 2019 wrote, open quote, "Born during the segregation era in Birmingham, Alabama, post-genocidal land of the Creek, Cherokee, Chickasaw, Choctaw, and Alabama people, I am a descendant of West African captives forcibly removed during the transatlantic slave trade to North America." Close quote. Page 3. To the contrary, some public school teachers tell students that only some black people put other black people into slavery. These teachers wash the white participants' hands with the black participants. They do this in order to relieve the white participants' successors of any responsibilities to reparations. Nonetheless, Africans and the African diaspora can come together to produce reparations. Young black males have no reason to not succeed in ethical, lawful manners. To illustrate, Davis 2019 wrote, open quote, "Our father, the first in his family to graduate from college, was also the first black to own an automotive business and parking lot in downtown Birmingham, located in what is now known as the Civil Rights District." Close quote. Pages 3 and 4. In addition, Charles Adams, the founder of Grambling State University, accomplished more success with less resources and more opposition than we accomplished with more resources and less opposition. Let us focus more on our potential and goals and less on other people's actions. Protests against the civil rights movement are satanic. To illustrate, Davis 2019 wrote, open quote, "By the 1960s, when my siblings and I were growing up, it was the most racially segregated city in the nation, dubbed, open quote, Birmingham, close quote, because of the frequent bombings intended to terrorize churches and individuals active in the civil rights movement." Close quote. Page 4. Satan is a supernatural force. We cannot overcome a supernatural force by natural means. Therefore, love is a greater supernatural force than hate. Love is acceptance, but hatred is rejection. If we continue to love people despite their offenses, we save ourselves from self-destruction. However, we hate the offenses and the source of the offenses. Hate breeds more hatred. To illustrate, Davis 2019 wrote, open quote, "Fathers in the neighborhood organized an armed patrol in self-defense, and at times our father, awakened by the noise of footsteps, would grab his gun and run outside to reconnoiter, fearful that terrorists lurked nearby." Close quote. Page 4. If we shoot guns at our enemies, we hurt or kill them. In addition, we stop their actions against us. However, we don't stop the spirits behind their actions. These spirits transfer to other people to continue the destruction of the human race. Some children consume terror from their environments. To illustrate, Davis 2019 wrote, open quote, "Racial terror was part of our daily life." Page 4. Terror, page 4, close quote. Terror is a power. Often, some children become terrorists from fearful conditions, but other children become humble to terror from these conditions. The terror of white supremacy has produced an oppressive and oppressed generation of younger black people. Hence, some young black people form gangs to terrorize their neighbors. Other black people make terror their gods and submit to other people that terrorize them. Terror is not love. The oppressors and oppressed people don't love one another. Terror robs a person of his or her peace. To illustrate, Davis 2019 wrote, open quote, his work made him a target, and his home was bombed 3 times. He took to sitting on the porch at night armed with a shotgun, close quote. Page 5. Emotional instabilities come from terrorism. Psychological disorders come from emotional instabilities. Emotion is an energy in motion or activated power. A person with an emotional instability makes irrational decisions to threaten his or her life, other people's lives, and properties. Some emotional instabilities and psychological disorders in African American children came from the terror of white supremacy during the civil rights movement. A parent's encouragement to his or her child sets him or her for good success. To illustrate, Davis 2019 wrote, open quote, while we were growing up, our mother's voice was a powerful antidote to pervasive social messaging that declared black people subhuman, ever instilling a deep confidence that we should never feel ourselves inferior to whites. Close quote, page 6. When I was a teenager over 30 years ago, I believed black people were inferior to white people. In addition, I did not consider to attend Grambling State University, even though it was the first school to give me an acceptance letter because it was an HBCU. I was a fool, believing lies about me and other black people led me to accept mistreatments from other people and live outside my purpose. Nevertheless, I am thankful for God's grace. Some black people pretend to be certain people in order to get respect from other people. To illustrate, Davis 2019 wrote, open quote, in our black Southern English, we responded, open quote, all black people have to do is pretend to come from another country and you treat us like dignitaries, close quote, page 6. We lose the knowledge of ourselves because we lose the knowledge of ourselves because we want white people to respect us. For example, we change our physical appearances to resemble what is most acceptable in society. Therefore, our success comes from self-hatred and not from self-knowledge. White supremacy has become a stronghold in our characters. We should keep our families together. To illustrate, Davis 2019 wrote, open quote, I subsequently left in 1962 at 15 years old to attend, let's go back. We should keep our families together. To the contrary, Davis 2019 wrote, open quote, I subsequently left in 1962 at 15 years old to attend a New Jersey high school under the auspices of the Quakers Southern Negro Student Project. This project extended cultural and educational opportunities to black students from the Jim Crow South by placing them with white families in northern cities so they could attend non segregated high schools during their junior and senior years. Close quote. Pages 6 and 7. Separating black children from their parental roots allows them to lose the knowledge of their ancestors. This move creates a generation that doesn't identify themselves as black even though they observe their blackness every day. In addition, some people call the move a subtle form of social genocide. Humiliation can lead to self hatred. To illustrate, Davis 2019 wrote, open quote, my classmates invited my host sister, who was my age, to social events but snubbed me. Teachers made offensive comments about my hair. White students made fun of my southern drawl. The only black student in my class, I was socially isolated. Close quote. Page 7. The appearance and culture of the black race is judged as morally wrong. Everybody, including children, want to be right. Therefore, in order to silence the noise from other people, some black people adopt other people's ways. Peace is a result of unity. To illustrate, Davis 2019 wrote, open quote, but mostly I remember the strong spirit of unity, joy, peace, and victory wafting in the air. Close quote. Page 8. A common ground is no place for a battleground. In order to come on a common ground, we need to humble ourselves to the truth. In addition, we need to admit that we are wrong. If we are wrong, we don't need to make other statements in defense of this wrong. Hence, we need to submit to other people's instructions that are right. Some of us hate submission because we claim it leads us back into slavery. However, we either serve love or hatred, good or evil, right or wrong, or the truth or a lie. Anger makes us insensitive. To illustrate, Davis 2019 wrote, open quote, for days I was angry, then numb. Ultimately, the deaths of my friends and other formative experiences stoked inner fires of an enduring commitment to fundamental social change and a deep yearning for freedom for my people from the spirit crushing systems of racial inequality and terror. Close quote, page 8. Worldly people talk about the hardness of a person. To them, hard people are tough, yet hard people lack compassion. Compassion is to feel for one's misfortunes. Therefore, hard people don't understand other people's troubles, so they fail to help other people come out their troubles. We must become, we must be aware We must beware of reverse racism. We must beware of reverse racism. To illustrate, Davis 2019 wrote, open quote, I wore my hair naturally in an open quote afro close quote, took an African name, and for a time shared anti-white sentiment, close quote, page 9. Hating white people is just as evil as white people hating us. Hatred is rejection. In saying this, hatred destroys relationships between people and the potential for relationships between people. If two people cannot relate to a problem, they fail to work together on a solution. For instance, if two people from different races and neighborhoods cannot relate to one another's poverty from theirs, they fail to work together on a plan to end poverty for everybody. Our struggles don't necessarily result in divisions with us. To illustrate, Davis 2019 wrote, open quote, in the heat of the struggle, I married a fellow student leader and activist from a nearby Black Students Association that worked in solidarity with our group. Close quote, page 9. Oppressors tried to break Black people apart. For example, roll clay into a ball. Put the ball of clay in the palm of one hand. Use the other hand to press downward on the clay. Try to press the clay until you break parts of it off from the whole. The clay represents the Black community. Love for the people, but hatred for their offenses hold us together despite oppressions. Oppressions cause discomfort and some destructions. However, oppressors don't decide our fates. Jesus Christ warned us about the use of weapons against one another. To illustrate, Davis 2019 wrote, open quote, however, barely 6 months after our arrival, officers broke into our apartment with guns drawn. When my husband went for his gun in self-defense, police shot and nearly killed him. Close quote. Page 10. To the contrary, Jesus Christ told Peter, open quote, if you live by the sword, you shall die by the sword. Close quote. Guns and other firearms replace swords. Hence, if we live by guns, we shall die by guns. To clarify, we seal our fates to destruction if we depend on guns. Some people use guns to kill other people. However, guns or the bullets that come from it don't destroy the evil spirits that motivate people against one another. Thus, firearms are not the solution to terrorism from other people. Some Black people refuse to peacefully come together with other Black people and hinder other Black people's unions because powerful government officials executed harsh punishments against their communities. To illustrate, Davis 2019 wrote, open quote, during this time, my sister, Angela, was also in news headlines when Ronald Reagan, as the governor of California, fired her from her UCLA teaching position because of her Communist Party membership. Close quote. Page 10. We black people cannot do anything alone. Each of us have goals. However, if we are so independent to reject other people's assistance, we never reach these goals. Hence, we will complain about our failures, but our arrogance contributes to our failures. Some friends contribute to our downfall. To illustrate, Davis 2019 wrote, open quote, Jonathan brandished guns registered in Angela's name, and though she was nowhere near the scene and no other evidence linked her to the incident, she was charged with capital murder, kidnapping, and conspiracy. Close quote. Page 11. Young people, other people are not your friends if they advise you to get revenge on certain people or, open quote, get it back in blood, close quote. Other people might believe they have nothing to lose. Plus, they don't want to see you accomplish great tasks. On the other, on the one hand, some people give you natural provisions, but their advice leads you to self-destruct. You need to learn the difference between truth and lies, right and wrong, and good and evil. Other people persecute us because we share the same skin color that some criminals have. To illustrate, Davis 2019 wrote, open quote, assault guns at the ready, they surrounded me, ready to take me down until they realized I was not Angela. I was shaken to the core, but did my best to hide it as they interrogated me. Close quote. Page 11. I believed the lie that black men were endangered species when I was a child. Other black boys believed that lie and became reckless. Some of them died before they came to the knowledge of the truth. All black men are not criminals. Especially, all black men do not harass and rape women. It is better to put wisdom into our children to sustain them than to contradict this wisdom and replace it with foolishness. To illustrate, Davis 2019 wrote, open quote, the raid happened when my husband and I were en route to Canada to board a ship bound for Cuba for 2 months with hundreds of other members of the 3rd Vince Ramos Brigade to plant fruit trees in solidarity with the Cuban Revolution. Close quote, page 11. Fathers and mothers need to be on one accord when they teach their children. One parent should not agree with the children's crimes when the other parent disagreed. Our homes break before a spouse and or parent leaves the homes. The first break of the home is spiritual. For example, one parent chooses to love other people as he or she loves himself or herself, but the other parent chooses to love only other people that love him or her. Let us continue to love one another despite society's labels as suspect, criminal, diseased, crazy, and so on. To illustrate, Davis 2019 wrote, open quote, within a few months, Angela was extradited to Northern California. I followed, close quote, page 12. Do not agree with one another's offenses, but love the other person as you love yourself. If you don't want other people to reject you because law enforcement officers suspect you of a crime, don't reject other people. Be with one another, if not physically, mentally, and emotionally. Let's go back. Be with one another, if not physically, mentally, and emotionally, at their lowest points. Everybody will have an open quote ocean floor close quote experience. We need other people to give us life sustaining advice, which is air. That concludes the lecture. Now, this is the lecture quiz. The lecture quiz will be 10 questions of fill in the blank. You have unlimited time to answer the questions. Now I'm going to read the questions to you. Lecture quiz 1. If we blank, we reach our goals. 2. Nevertheless, blank to a better health delivers us from these strongholds. 3. The future of any society is in the success of its blank. 4. Repentance is a open quote change for the blank close quote. 5. If we appreciate and save our lives, we blank. 6. Do not agree with one another's offenses, but blank the other person as you blank yourself. 7. Fathers and mothers need to be on blank when they teach their children. 8. All black men are not blank. 9. Some friends contribute to our blank. And 10. Each of us have blank. Now, to remind you, the answers to these questions are not blank. Now, stand by for the next lecture. If you want to go ahead and purchase this book from Amazon.com, I know Amazon.com sells this book online. You can. And once you receive the book, if you receive it before I present the next lecture, go ahead and read and study the next 12 pages and take notes and pay attention to what the author writes and pay attention to what I say during the lecture, because my goal is not just to give you information to memorize. My goal is to put wisdom into you so you can apply it and improve your life and the conditions of your community. Until next time, thank you and have a blessed day.